Most Jeep mods promise better performance, but some of the most popular ones actually make your Jeep slower, less reliable, and even dangerous. And the worst part? Thousands of owners install them every single day thinking they're upgrades. Here are the mods I would never touch, counted down to the one that can destroy your build. Number 12. Angry Eyes Grill Inserts. Starting off with one the internet has been fighting about for years, and honestly, it earned its spot. Angry Eyes Grill Inserts. You know exactly what I am talking about. Those plastic overlays that go over your factory grill slots and make your Jeep look like it just got cut off in traffic. I get the appeal. You want your Wrangler to have some attitude. But the original 7-slot grill has been the face of Jeep since 1945. When you slap Angry Eyes over it, you are covering up 80 years of heritage with a $15 piece of injection-molded plastic. And there is a functional problem. Those inserts reduce airflow to the radiator and AC condenser. On a hot day when you are crawling rocks at low speed, that restricted airflow matters. Jeep forums are full of owners reporting higher operating temps after installing these things, especially on the 3.6 Pentastar, which already runs warm under load. Then there is resale. Angry Eyes are consistently listed as the #1 cosmetic mod that turns Jeep buyers away. If you are trying to build a rig that holds value, this one works against you. But that is just cosmetics. This next one actually costs you real performance. Number 11. Cheap Amazon LED light bars. This one hits different because the temptation is so strong. You hop on Amazon, you see a 50-inch LED light bar for $40 with 4.5 stars, and you think, why would I ever pay $300 for a name brand bar? For the first couple of months, it works. It throws light, it looks bright, and you feel like you got a steal. But the LED chips inside budget bars degrade fast. Within 6 to 12 months, some chips yellow while others stay white. The lenses haze from UV because they use cheap polycarbonate instead of hardened glass, and the seals fail within the first year, letting moisture inside. Once water gets in, it fogs the lens, corrodes the circuit boards, and you end up with dead spots or a completely dead bar. Baja Designs, Rigid, and KC Highlights use higher bin chips, proper thermal management, and IP68 rated housing for a reason. The $40 Amazon special is engineered to survive the return window, not the trail. Number 10. Bolt-on wheel spacers. Wheel spacers sound simple and harmless. You bolt them between your hub and your wheel, your stance gets wider, and your Jeep looks more aggressive. But what you are actually doing is changing the geometry of your entire axle setup. You are pushing the wheel further from the hub, which increases the load on your wheel studs, your bearings, and your steering components. Hub-centric spacers that are properly torqued are safer than the cheap lug-centric ones. But even the good ones still create additional failure points. JK and JL wheel bearing assemblies were not designed with an extra 1.5 inches of offset in mind. And when a wheel bearing fails on the highway at 65 miles per hour, that is not a trailside inconvenience. That is a tow truck and a potential safety hazard. If you want a wider stance, buy wheels with the proper backspacing and offset for your setup. It costs more up front, but eliminates the added stress and bearing wear that spacers introduce. Number 9. Coil Spacer Puck Lifts. This is the budget lift trap that catches thousands of new Jeep owners every year. A 2-inch coil spacer for $60 to $100 sounds like an absolute steal compared to a full suspension system that runs $800 to $2,000. But a spacer lift takes your factory spring, engineered for a specific ride height and travel range, and just pushes it up 2 inches with a hockey puck made of polyurethane. The spring rate stays the same. The shock travel stays the same. The bump stop engagement stays the same. So now your Jeep sits higher, but your shocks are extended further than they should be at rest. Less downward travel means your tires lose contact with the ground sooner on uneven terrain. Ride quality gets worse, not better. More body roll, more harshness, and a floaty feeling at highway speeds. And the real cost becomes clear when you still need new shocks, new bump stops, and control arms to correct the geometry. By the time you fix everything a spacer lift broke, you have spent more than a proper lift would have cost from the start. Number 8. Plasti-dipping your entire Jeep. Plasti-dip had its moment. For small touches like emblem blackouts or fender trim, it still works fine. But plasti-dipping an entire Jeep produces results that are almost universally disappointing after 6 months. Plasti-dip is a rubberized coating designed for tool handles. It was never engineered for a full vehicle. On a Jeep that sees sun, rain, mud, and highway rock chips, full-body Plastidip starts peeling in patches, and when it peels unevenly, it leaves a sticky residue that looks 10 times worse than whatever you were trying to cover up. UV breaks down the rubber over time. Door edges, fender flares, and the tailgate handle wear through fast, and because the coating traps moisture underneath when it starts failing, you can actually accelerate corrosion where the factory paint was already compromised. A professional vinyl wrap costs more, but lasts 3 to 5 years and peels off clean. If budget is the concern, just keep the factory paint. The OEM clear coat handles abuse far better than a spray can ever will. Number 7. Stinger bumpers on street-driven Jeeps. Stinger bumpers have a specific purpose. That curved bar extending up and over the front of the Jeep is designed to catch the vehicle and prevent a full rollover during an extremely steep, nose-down descent on a rock-crawling trail. That is the entire purpose. But somewhere along the way, Stingers became a style mod. People bolt them on Jeeps that never leave pavement, and the result is a 40 to 60-pound steel bar sticking 3 feet out from the front that serves zero function and creates real problems. From a liability perspective, Stingers turn a fender bender into something much worse. That protruding steel bar sits at the perfect height to penetrate another vehicle's cabin in a low-speed collision. Insurance companies have flagged this, and in some jurisdictions, protruding bumper extensions can put you on the wrong side of vehicle code regulations. Beyond liability, that extra weight hanging off the front affects your approach angle and puts stress on your front suspension. If you are building a dedicated trail rig that sees serious rock crawling, a Stinger makes sense. If your Jeep lives in the grocery store parking lot, skip it entirely. Number 6. Mud terrain tires as your daily driver. Mud terrains are incredible at what they were designed for. Those aggressive tread blocks with wide spacing bite into soft terrain, clay, and loose soil like nothing else. But they come with trade-offs that a lot of first-time Jeep owners do not fully appreciate before spending $1,200 to $2,000 on a set. On pavement, mud terrains are loud, like conversation in the cab loud. The aggressive tread pattern creates a constant hum that gets worse as the tires wear unevenly, which they tend to do on the street. Wet traction on pavement is also noticeably worse because those wide channels reduce the actual rubber contact patch on the road surface. Tread life takes a hit too. Most mud terrains are rated for 40,000 to 50,000 miles at best, while a quality all-terrain like the BF Goodrich KO2 or Falken Wild Peak AT3W regularly delivers 50,000 to 70,000 miles. If you trail every other weekend and genuinely need the mud performance, they earn their keep. But if 90% of your driving is highway commuting, with maybe a fire road once a month, an all-terrain gives you 80% of the off-road capability with half the noise and a longer lifespan. Number 5. No-name budget winches. A winch is one of the few modifications on your Jeep that you might genuinely depend on in a bad situation. When your Jeep is buried to the frame rails in mud or teetering on a ledge at an angle that makes your passengers go quiet, that is not the time to find out your winch was built with the cheapest possible components. No-name budget winches in the $150 to $250 range typically use lower quality contactors, thinner wire rope or synthetic line, and motors that overheat under sustained load. The problem with a winch is that you rarely use it, so it sits for months or years between pulls, and cheap contactors corrode, cheap solenoids fail, cheap motors seize. Quality winches from Warn, Smitty-built X2O, or Factor 55 use sealed solenoids, higher-rated motors, and come with actual warranty support. A Warn VR-EVO 10-S runs around $500 to $600. That is not cheap, but you are buying a tool that needs to work perfectly on its worst day, not its best. A $200 winch that fails when you need it is not a savings. It is a liability sitting on your bumper. And speaking of things hiding in plain sight, this next one is quietly ruining Jeep builds everywhere, and most owners have no clue it is happening. Number 4. Skipping the re-gear after a tire upgrade. This is the silent performance killer that plagues thousands of Jeep builds, and most owners do not even realize it until the damage is done. When Jeep engineered the JK with 3.21 gears and 32-inch tires, or the JL with 3.45 gears and 33s, Those ratios were calculated to give the engine the mechanical advantage it needs to spin those tires efficiently. The moment you jump to 35 seconds or 37 seconds without changing your axle gears, you are forcing the engine and transmission to work harder for every single mile. The effect is immediate. Acceleration gets sluggish. Highway RPMs drop too low for the torque curve, so the transmission constantly hunts for the right gear. Fuel economy drops 1 to 3 miles per gallon. And long term, that added strain increases wear on your clutch packs, torque converter, and ring and pinion gears. The general rule is 4.10 gears for 35-inch tires and 4.56 or 4.88 for 37s and up. A professional regear on both axles runs $1,500 to $2,500. Nobody sees it, and it does not look cool on Instagram, but it is the single best thing you can do for a Jeep running bigger tires. Number 3. Permanently removing sway bars for street use. On the trail, disconnecting your sway bars is one of the best things you can do for articulation. Each wheel travels independently, which means better traction over uneven terrain. But some owners disconnect them and just leave them off. For everything. Highway driving, daily commuting, grocery runs, all of it. Sway bars exist to control body roll. Without them, your Jeep leans hard into every turn. At highway speeds, that lean becomes genuinely dangerous. Emergency lane changes and off-ramp curves feel unpredictable because the body is rolling further than the suspension was designed to handle. JK and JL Wranglers are already taller and narrower than most vehicles on the road, with a higher center of gravity. Remove the sway bars and you are amplifying rollover risk in a vehicle that is already more prone to it than almost anything else on the highway. Quick disconnect sway bar links from JKS, Synergy, or TerraFlex cost between $80 and $200 and let you pop the bars off in seconds at the trailhead. That is the smart play. Full removal for street driving is a gamble with physics that does not pay off. Number 2. Thin cosmetic armor panels. This one catches people because it sounds so reasonable. You see rocker guards, skid plates, and fender armor on Amazon for half the price of the name brand stuff, and the product photos look identical. Same black powder coat, same mounting points, same general shape. But when that thin, stamped steel hits a rock at speed, the difference becomes brutally obvious. Cosmetic armor panels in 10 to 14 gauge steel dent, bend, and crumple on trail impacts that proper armor in 3/16 or quarter-inch plate would shrug off. And once they bend inward, they press against your rocker panels or your fuel tank, creating the exact damage they were supposed to prevent. Real rock sliders from companies like Evo Manufacturing, Artec Industries, or Motobuilt are designed to support the weight of the entire Jeep. Trail runners use their sliders as actual contact points when navigating ledges. That is not possible with cosmetic panels. They fold under load and transfer impact directly to your body. Skid plates are the same story. A thin aluminum skid plate might survive a gravel road, but the first solid rock strike punches right through or bends it into your oil pan. Steel from 3/16 of an inch and up is the minimum for any Jeep that actually leaves the pavement. Now this last one. This is the one that can genuinely put your safety at risk and cost you more money than every other mod on this list combined. Number 1. Budget long arm or coilover conversion kits. And this is the big one. The modification that costs the most to fix when it goes wrong. Long arm conversions and coilover setups are the pinnacle of Jeep suspension performance. Done correctly, they transform how a Jeep rides, flexes, and handles. But a budget kit from an unknown manufacturer is a completely different animal. Cheap long arm kits use thinner tubing, lower quality rod ends, and frame brackets that may not distribute load properly. And because installation involves welding directly to your frame, a botched job can compromise the structural integrity of the entire vehicle. Coilover conversions carry the same risk. A quality coilover from King, Fox, or Bilstein is precision engineered with proper valving for your vehicle's weight. A budget set that runs $400 for all 4 corners cuts every internal corner from valving to seal materials. And when a coilover fails on the trail, it can drop that corner immediately, which on a ledge creates a serious rollover scenario. The price gap between a budget long arm kit at $1,500 and a quality one from Synergy, Metal Cloak, or TerraFlex at $3,000 to $5,000 feels steep. But the cheap kit might cost you another $2,000 in corrective work 6 months later. That is, if it does not damage your frame first. Buy once, cry once. Your frame and your safety depend on it. Before you upgrade anything, ask yourself, are you actually improving your Jeep or slowly making it worse? Drop a comment with the mod you disagree with most. And if you want your Jeep to last 300,000 plus miles, check out my Jeep longevity guide below. Subscribe for more real-world Jeep insights. See you next time.